Yeah, they have a whole bunch of different yeasts you can have. And one of the things about this beer that I notice is that it's a very yeasty.
It's very
flavor.
foamy
Very
on the
yeasty.
top, lots of bubbles.
Thank you for
Very
that last
yeasty
pour.
flavor.
Yeah.
I find myself wanting a slice of cherry pie.
Cherry pie.
Oh, yeah.
You're right there. Cherry pie. Cherry pie. That's
Immediately,
where I was at.
that's exactly where I went.
Nothing
was
but cherry pie with this one.
Boy, that's a cool beer.
As
Oh,
we're
this is
making
so
the
good.
choice of what beer to get from this brewery. This was the recommendation from the bartender, and there were only 2 bottles left. So I said, well, it's got to be good. So I didn't even taste it.
Thank you, bartender.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten.
So we got this one, and then I bought the other one for my best friend and her husband, and I'm sure they enjoyed it as well.
Oh, good. Good.
So we'll see if we can tag this well, they have a room there where you can taste beer and drink beer.
Yes.
Yeah, and they bring food trucks, but so we'll have to tag that specific. I'm not trying to say the brewer. It's a
It's the brew pub. Or
it's the brew
tasting-
pub. Yeah,
tasting
yeah.
room.
So we need to tag them when this show goes on the air and thank the bartender.
You don't remember the bartender's name by chance?
I don't,
okay.
unfortunately. No.
But if you did, we could mention him too.
I'm sure she was hitting on him, but you know.
If she was hitting on him, she would have remembered his name. Chris, you're safe.
Did she hit him with a bottle?
Was she hitting on him with a bottle?
Is she hitting on him with a bottle?
Whack.
Little play on words there.
And dance on letters.
Dance I really like this. I think they've done a great job with it. Of course, at first when I kind of read that they were okay, you grab this yeast from this company and this grain from that company, but that's how beer's made, right? I mean, not everybody's out there with a petri dish in the middle of Belgium.
No. I mean, there are actually. I mean, there are a lot of brewers out there doing some kind of wild yeast stuff here in the States. But yeah, I mean, not everyone is out there doing that. There's Dogfish does a lot of
Yes.
their own yeast development. Actually, funny side note here: Waterfront Brewery will have its own yeast laboratory.
Oh, cool.
So
If they ever open.
well, September.
Yeah.
That's the plan? Okay.
It was November.
Well, it was actually September of last year.
Yeah,
And then before that,
that's
it
what I'm
was
saying.
May. But that's the way these.
Welcome,
these things
welcome.
come.
Yeah, it's the bureaucracy of the city of Key West. It's not them.
What a delicious beer.
I like it.
I like the fact that they nerds make good beer, and these guys are they're right up there with our local kind of nerd breweries. JWB for being one of them. They're like a Miami brewing company. J. Wakefield Brewing Company. They're more on the Star Wars tip.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I like the fact that these guys are kind of really developing the Ghostbusters kind of aspect of brewing.
Yeah, I have to wonder how that came up. What was the?
Well,
They're-
Ghostbusters is a great movie.
No, I mean, it's like, well, it's a joint effort. So I guess they decided
Keymaster,
and the gatekeeper. So it's the opposite sides of that. So
It's not going to happen because
Gozer.
neither of these beers are available
Gozer.
in Key West. But I'd be curious to try the two brands back to back and see how they. Technically they should be exactly the same, but that may or may not be the case. It'd be fun to try them, but or that or any other.
Were they brewed with the same recipe?
Right. But
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't- I don't
sometimes,
know.
they're brewed to the same recipe, but they're brewed in
Yeah,
two
yeah.
different places, so it could be different.
Yeah, there's a lot of ambient variables.
If it's not this beer, I'd like to try it with another one if we ever have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Where
The-
you
yeah,
have
the
a
both
collaboration. Where,
collaborations.
you have two of them. They've come together. They did the recipe. Let's try them out of their two different breweries and see how similar or dissimilar they are.
Or when they collaborate, do they both go to one brewery and make it? I don't know.
That's happened
just
as well. We had a beer that was
Cigar City and
Cigar City,
and the
one from Delaware.
Delaware.
But yeah, because that was only made.
Duclaw.
Duclaw.
Duclaw. Oh, they're from Maryland.
Yeah,
Maryland.
Yeah.
Yes, excuse
Yeah.
me. But I was under the impression that Duclaw was making them, but it turned out that Cigar City was making them for us. So
Who you gonna call? Ghetto
Goes-
Blaster.
get 'em.
Motor City.
Motor City.
I apparently drank all my beer.
But this beer is not from Motor City. This beer is from, 150 miles south of Motor
Columbus.
City. Columbus.
It's the birthplace of the Bevins family.
Bevins is
And Eddie Rickenbacker.
And Andy Rickenbacker.
Oh, really? Oh,
Actually, I don't know if he was born there. I couldn't remember.
okay.
If you want to know on the literary side, it was, I just forgot his name, so that doesn't matter.
Let that one go.
Starts with a
Rickenbacker
T.
Was famous because he
Yes,
was
he
that
was.
one go.
He was
Yes,
a
he was.
pilot, and a successful pilot in World War One.
Yes.
I don't know how many kills he had, but he had a bunch.
Yes, he
And
was
then,
born
Then
there.
he also he drove Indianapolis.
That's correct.
Speedway cars.
Yes, that's correct. And you know what? As a matter of fact, he was born there, and he was born in Italian Village.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Rickenbacker's not exactly an Italian name.
He was born over on Neal Avenue,
okay.
which part
Oh,
of yeah.
yeah, I'm familiar with Neal Avenue.
So this is, like a fantastic beer. I mean, we kind of breezed through the pairing section of this, but tasting notes. Dave and Danny kind of agreed on the
Kind of almost
On the-
sour fruit, but
like
dessert.
the cherry pie.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely would say that I wouldn't pair this with anything but dessert.
Yeah.
But honestly, again, going back to drinking all my carbs, I pretty much would just have this beer by itself. This beer stands out.
It's either a brunch beer or a dessert beer.
Brunch.
Brunch beer.
Brunch beer.
I mean,
That's not new for you.
no, I mean, I just drink breakfast. Howdy, this is Cowboy Mark from Brooklyn, and you're listening to Key West Beer Tales, the sum of all beers.
Well, what Mark's doing right now is he's rolling the bottle because it has active yeast in there, and that's when we get into this. This one has a really something I've never seen before. So we'll get into that in a minute.
I
I'm
bet you when you
intrigued.
opened up that bottle when we were at your house,
definitely
you
did not
definitely
roll
did
it.
not roll that bottle.
I certainly did not.
They did
No.
not.
All right, so this is one chunky monkey right here.
Chunky Monkey.
It's got,
Let's say what we have.
it's
here
got pieces
first.
and parts.
The beer we have today is Bière de Mars, which is actually it's a French style ale from the north of France.
A stock ale.
How would you say that in Detroit?
France.
Beer de Mars.
Beer de
Beer
de Mars.
Beer de
Beer
Mars.
de Mars.
Beer de Mars.
Beer de Mars.
Beer de Mars.
Beer de Mars.
Mars.
There you go.
Mars.
There you go.
Say it.
Beer de Mars. This has more information on it than I think any beer that we've had.
Well,
Okay, Mark has
Also
done
hand them down.
distributing the
To date.
yeast within the bottle.
no,
to the point
see,
where-
that's something that deserves note in itself.
Oh yeah.
They brewed this beer with a particular type of a yeast, which is a regular. It's an ale yeast. However, when they bottle it for bottle conditioning, they use a wild yeast that they put in. They add to it, which was never used in the brew process to begin with.
Secondary fermentation happens in the bottle. It's a bottle conditioning.
Exactly, but what
But
they're
this is
doing
also barrel
but what
aged.
they're doing with this beer, Mark, is they're using a completely different yeast for the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a wild yeast, so which is really cool.
Okay, could you? I missed that.
Oh,
Chris.
okay.
I didn't really follow what you were saying.
Okay, what they're doing is they have an ale yeast that they use when they brew the beer.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, however, when they bottle it, they filter that out, and they put in a wild yeast
Gotcha, okay.
for the bottle fermentation, which
Okay.
really interesting. Really interesting.
Now, is that for do they age barrel aged with the ale yeast and then?
The yeast, as I understand it, the yeast that they have in the bottle goes in when they bottle it. So yeah, the regular.
So when they're barrel aging it,
so they're filtering. Apparently, they're. It looks like they're filtering that the regular yeast out, and then they put in a wild yeast afterwards. Because they say conditioning, which I'm assuming is bottle conditioning. Maybe not, but
brewed with yeast mellowed in large oak casks, re-fermented in the bottle, so that's secondary conditioning.
Right.
Beer de Mars is sustaining beer brewed to comfort the gusty Ides of March and welcome in the wealth of warmer weather. Beware the Ides of March.
That's for sure.
Yeah, one of the things they mentioned that this
Some
is
guy, some other guy, a long time ago. That literally, that's who that quote was attributed to on the bottle. Let me say that again. Beware the Ides of March. Some guy to some other guy a long time ago.
Jeez. I believe it was Caesar.
Beware,
it
Caesar, the Ides
it
of
was,
March.
It was Caesar's
His murderer.
his soothsayer.
His
Yes.
God.
what was his name? Hold on.
Burp, you did
No.
Bruti.
No,
that was not a
Brutus.
soothsayer.
Brutus actually stabs him in the back. Then Caesar actually says to Brutus, "Et tu, Brute?"
Yeah.
And then that's what.
Can you imagine one of our listeners out there listening right now that
So
really
pissed.
knows all of this?
They're
And
saying
they're
these guys
pulling their
don't know
hair
what they're
out.
They're like,
talking
shut
about.
up and drink the beer. You have 6.2 ABV, but the bottle says 7%.
I got it off of their website.
And so
Well, this bottle
I'm,
says-
I'm inclined to go with the bottle. On this
I'd go
one.
with the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd go with the bottle
because
on this.
that's the most legally binding one.
Yeah.
Bound to the bottle.
And again, this is
Hey, I need
they,
that.
They mentioned that this is a French style beer from the north of France, which I think is great because there's very few French style beers that are done over, and this is one of them. There's another beer which I look forward to. Somebody's going to do it. I said a week or two ago that I'd really love it if somebody would make a mild, and all of a sudden, boom, we have a mild here all of a sudden. I'd never seen a mild here in the U.S. I'd love to see an American brewer there's a style of beer from Paris called Bière de Paris, and it's a marvelous beer.
So yeah, again, this is a very complex beer. It would be actually extremely complex to make. So the initial fermentation process happens. Then they put it in barrels to mellow it, and then they re-bottle condition it.
No, this is really a very delicious beer.
Yeah, this is very, very good beer.
Are you surprised I'm saying that?
No, actually, I'm not because it's not that sour.
Yeah, it's not as sour as I've had.
But yeah, I mean, again, I would not pair this with anything other than good company. Mm-hmm. And maybe in the Motor City.
Motor City!
Motor City!
Motor City. We got that name down, don't we?
Detroit!
That one out.
This is a complex beer. I mean, it really is.
I was getting ready to say it's got everything. It goes to hoppy and sweet, sour, citrusy, everything.
There's like a little, even like a peach in there somewhere.
The only thing I'd really want to have this with is like popcorn. Like I could imagine like eating a little popcorn with it.
I think there's apricot in there.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
What are the ingredients they have as far as their malts go? In addition to having conventional malts, they're also using both oats and wheat.
I get the oats on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's grainy, but like it's not, it's not all just barley. It's like there's definitely it's like I said, I hate repeating myself, but it's very complex. This is really good.
I like the fact that they use lemon verbena in this
Yeah.
because there's and this beer is the Bière de Mars, which is from Jolly Pumpkin. But yeah, the fact that they use lemon verbena in the beer is just very interesting to me. I grew some lemon verbena, and it's a really fantastic herb, and it's unlike, it's very lemony. And
It goes great with fish or in teas.
What is lemon verbena?
it's an herb, but it's more like it grows kind of like a tree, and it gets a leaf kind of like, it looks almost like a gardenia leaf.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
you pick the leaves and
This is actually this was suggested again by the bartender at Jolly Pumpkin. It's considered their signature beer,
that dude's brilliant.
and I was unable to even try it because it was out of the tap was dry basically when I went there. So I was trusting a couple of opinions, and I think
Good choice.
They did well.
Yeah.
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 My glass is now dry.
You have good bartenders, Kristen.
Yeah.
I think so.